Matthew chapter 13, verses 24 through 30. He put another parable before them, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. So when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. And the servants of the master of the house came and said to him, 'Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have weeds?' He said to them, 'An enemy has done this.' So the servants said to him, 'Then do you want us to go and gather them?' But he said, 'No, lest in gathering the weeds you root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at harvest time I will tell the reapers, gather the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn.'" So in the Gospels, we often see Jesus telling stories, which are called parables, that illustrate certain spiritual truths. And in this case, Matthew 13 is a really helpful parable speaking about the growth of the kingdom of heaven. Let me read for you Jesus' own interpretation of this parable down in verse 36 and on. "Then he left the crowds and went into the house, and his disciples came to him saying, 'Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the field.' He answered, 'The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed is the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are gathered and burned with fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all causes of sin and all lawbreakers and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of the Father. He who has ears, let him hear." The one who sows the seed is the Son of Man, referring to Jesus. And the good seed are the sons of the kingdom, and the weeds are the sons of the evil one. So the sons of the kingdom are those who will inherit the kingdom of the Father. This can be proven if you jump over to verse 43. He talks about the wheat as the righteous who will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. So in LDS terms, the wheat are those who will inherit the kingdom of the Father. The celestial kingdom would be how my Latter-day Saint friends would put that. We understand that just to be heaven, but the point is, whatever the kingdom of the Father is, that's where these wheats are going. The weeds, on the other hand, are going to get burnt up. Now, that seems pretty straightforward, but in D&C 86, Joseph Smith actually provides his own interpretation of this, which is kind of what I want to highlight here. So I'm going to read this D&C section 86, starting in verse 1. "Verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, my servants, concerning the parable of the wheat and of the tares." Tares is just meaning weeds. "Behold, verily I say, the field was the world, and the apostles were the sowers of the seed. And after they had fallen asleep, the great persecutor of the church, the apostate, the whore, even Babylon, that maketh all nations to drink of her cup, in whose hearts the enemy, even Satan, sitteth to reign, behold, he soweth the tares. Wherefore the tares choke the wheat and drive the church into the wilderness." Pause. So we already have some differences here. The general story is the same, but notice the two differences that are already made here. Joseph Smith says in verse 2 that the apostles are the ones sowing the seed. That is not what Jesus said in Matthew 13, verse 37. He says, "The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man." So who's starting this work of sowing the wheat? Jesus said it was him. Joseph Smith said it's the apostles. So we already see one difference here. But then note this in verse 3. "When the tares grow up, they choke the wheat and drive the church into the wilderness." We don't see in Matthew 13 any choking of the wheat, nor do we see the church being driven into the wilderness. The reason this is significant is because Matthew 13 is a proof text for Christians as to why there was no great apostasy. You see, if Jesus planted this wheat and there were also weeds, then both those who will enter the kingdom, God's kingdom, and those who will not grow together until the harvest. Joseph Smith is saying the weeds grow and the wheat runs away into the wilderness. So the weeds seem to have won for a while. And then, of course, verse 4 of D&C section 86 says this, But behold, in the last days, even now, while the Lord is beginning to bring forth the word, and the blade is springing up and is yet tender, behold, verily I say unto you, the angels are crying unto the Lord day and night, who are ready and waiting to be sent forth to reap down the fields. But the Lord saith unto them, pluck not up the tares while the blade is yet tender, for verily your faith is weak, lest you destroy the wheat also. Therefore, let the wheat and the tares grow together until the harvest is fully ripe. Then ye shall first gather out the wheat from among the tares, and after the gathering of the wheat, behold, and lo, the tares are bound into bundles, and the field remaineth to be burned. So we have some differences here. The wheat is gone away, but then at some point the wheat and the tares are together. There's two different differences here. First off, in the parable Jesus gives, it is the weeds who are first pulled up, and then the weeds that are burned. Joseph Smith here said that it is the wheat that was first pulled up, and then the field is burned. Neither the weeds nor the wheat get burnt in Joseph Smith's interpretation here. That is a dramatic difference from what Jesus had communicated in Matthew 13. See, for Christians, we understand that both faithful followers of Jesus and those who will be cast into the place of weeping and gnashing of teeth will grow together. This is not teaching that they will grow for a little bit and then die for 1,800 years, and then come back in the restoration. This is teaching that from the time the Son of Man sows the seed, there will be a continuous growth until the harvest. So when we compare Jesus's interpretation here to Joseph Smith's interpretation, we see a pretty clear disparity. Joseph Smith is cramming something in to Matthew 13 that Jesus never meant to be there. Not only is it an addition, it's actually contradictory as to what it's saying. The details are different, and those details are significant. The church never goes into the wilderness. There's never a time when the wheat fails. Both grow together until the harvest. And this is one of the reasons that Christians don't believe in a great apostasy.